How long have you been coming to Zaybarz?
About 10 years now.
54 years. My first time in Zaybarz.
Oh my God, it is a neighborhood institution. That's number one, but it's really unique.
My son went to school around the corner and he used to come with his friends at lunch and they would actually run into my son's grandmother here. So it's a social place, but it's a food place. It's a place to come explore. It's a little bit of like good retail therapy.
I'm getting a refrigerator delivered tomorrow because mine died. And so walking by Zaybarz now is torture not to be able to go in and buy something.
What's your favorite thing to buy at Zaybarz?
Coffee. I get the coffee always.
Crumb cake is my absolute favorite thing here in the store, though.
I like the cheese, the scallion cheese.
I just appreciate you guys, you know what I mean? They're one of the best.
Hi, welcome to the Zaybarz podcast. I'm your host, Willie Zaybar. Zaybarz was founded by my great-grandparents in 1934. My grandfather, Stanley,
Thank you.
and his brother, Saul,
How are you doing, people of the internet?
still run the store. My dad works there, I work there, and so do two of my brothers. I'm a fourth-generation Zaybar. Zaybarz is a specialty food store on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in New York City. We want to give you a little look into our history, how we do things, and who we are. We're going to talk to all kinds of people, including customers, employees, management, and food history experts. I grew up in the store. It's where I had my first job. As soon as I turned 16, my dad made me get my working papers, and I started selling knishes and strudel behind the deli counter. There's a lot I can tell you about this store, but if I'm being honest, there's also a lot that I don't know. One of my goals in making this podcast is to change that. Over the course of this series, you'll hear me get an education in all things Zaybarz. So join me as I take a deep dive into what this store is, how it came to be, and what it's got going on these days. Welcome to Zaybarz. To kick things off, I thought I'd talk to my grandfather, Stanley, and hear about the origins of our store. Zaybarz was founded in 1934 by my great-grandparents Louie and Lily. Back in the old country, Louie's family actually ran a small store. We don't know what that store was called, but you can argue this was the original Zaybarz.
They owned a lumber company and a food company of basic groceries in this small shtetl that was there.
For those of you who don't know, shtetls were small Jewish communities in Eastern and Central Europe.
They left Russia when they were being attacked by the people who were anti-Semitic. They came to the United States. Originally, my father and the mother did not have any relationship until they found themselves in the United States, where they came in the 1920s. We moved to Broadway and 81st Street, the corner, and now I live in more or less the same area.
Tell me a little bit about Louie and Lily.
Well, they were hard-working people. My mother and father worked in Zaybarz from 1934. They had a good following, and they were known from early days, having top food and being very involved with customers. Zaybarz was open till midnight every day, and on Sunday, when I was somewhat older, let's say about 11, I would help out in the store. Actually, when I could walk, I went to Zaybarz.
What's your favorite Zaybarz product?
Well, smoked salmon is my favorite for breakfast and for lunch, too. Naturally, I can't do without Zaybarz coffee. We try not to sell anything that we don't like ourselves. Zaybarz means to me a place to go, a place to meet all the West Side, Upper West Side people I've grown up with, a place that the personnel are like family. It's part of a small community. Without it, it's very difficult to live a gourmet life. It's a second home. I think it's our responsibility to keep Zaybarz going for the population that loves it now, and to my family who wants to be involved in it. It's a center of activity for us.
As my grandpa said, there's a strong connection between our store, our family, and our neighborhood. I can't really make a podcast about Zaybarz without telling you about the Upper West Side. Ever since Louie Zaybar moved his family and his business out of Brooklyn in the 1930s, most of the Zaybar clan has lived on the Upper West Side. I grew up just a few blocks from the store over on Riverside Drive. I'm a little further uptown now, but still close enough to walk to work. The first thing you see when you walk into Zaybarz is cheese. So much cheese. A lot of these are available in prepackaged blocks and wedges, but for some of the good stuff, you need to go to the cheese counter. There, Monica will cut you exactly the amount of cheese you need for your picnic, or let's be honest, just to eat standing up in front of the fridge.
So yeah, how long have you been working in the cheese department?
Only 26 years.
What's selling really well right now?
It's Stara. This is a very good cheese. And we sell a lot of cheese.
Past the cheese department is a small, windy staircase that leads to our housewares mezzanine. Not a lot of people know about our second floor, and it's a real shonda because there's some great stuff up there. We have everything from pots and pans to espresso machines. Just ask housewares manager Bernardo Muniz.
I've been here 42 years. It's exciting. I find it more interesting than going to the Empire State Building. If you like to cook, this is the place to come.
I'm also going to let you in on a little family secret. If the store is super crowded and there's a line for the registers, you can take your shopping basket upstairs and do checkout there. Fair warning, if you do this, you may be tempted to pick up a Zaybarz t-shirt while you're up there. But at only $5.98, it's one of the cheaper impulse buys you can make. Back at the bottom of the staircase, you'll find another hidden gem, the candy department. That's where my brother Danny happened to be working when I was recording this segment.
My favorite product in the candy section right now are the dark chocolate covered marshmallows, because I just discovered them today.
I really wish Danny hadn't told me that because I've been eating those things nonstop ever since. Next, we've got the deli department.
My name is Andrew. I work in Zaybarz, a great place and where you can get your fresh deli meats cut.
Whether you want turkey, corned beef, pastrami, or ham, we'll slice it to your desired thickness and wrap it in some nice wax paper. The expansion of our food selection beyond traditional Jewish deli fare was one of the many contributions of Murray Klein. He was Stanley and Saul's business partner from the 1960s until his retirement in 1994. Next up is the fish counter, also known as the appetizing counter. Everyone at the fish counter used to work at the deli department, and only the best and brightest make the cut.
My name is Ian Pichardo. I've been working at the fish department for about 2.5 years now.
What's your favorite item at the fish counter?
Oh, that's a tough one. I started off with the Zaybarz Nova, but because I like the smokiness and the smoky flavor of the salmon, I go with the Scottish.
The fish counter is really the heart of our entire operation. Smoked fish was the first product sold by Louis Zaybar, and the rest of the store grew out of this department. Louis used to visit the smokehouses in Brooklyn to sample the fish personally, a tradition that our appetizing department continues to this day. When I was growing up, my dad would always return from trips to Brooklyn smelling like a pound of lox. Next up, we've got the coffee department. My Uncle Saul has been tasting and curating our coffee for over 50 years. One thing I love about this part of the store is that we still scoop the coffee beans out of giant wooden barrels. Episode 2 is going to be all about coffee, so stay tuned for that.
What tastes better than a warm bagel right from the oven? And that's what you will find right now at the Zaybarz bread counter. Baked hot and fresh and continuously throughout the day, Zaybarz freshly baked bagels. Plain, coffee, sesame, onion, everything, and cinnamon raisin. So stop by the Zaybarz bread counter and experience our hot bagels right out of the oven.
Let's talk baked goods. Bagels, rolls, baguettes, brownies, arugula. You can find all of these at the bread counter. It's really too bad that you can't record smells on a podcast because this part of the store schmecks goodly. Last but not least, you simply cannot shop at Zaybarz without stopping by our checkout counter, because that would be stealing. If you're lucky, your register might be staffed by Leslie.
I've been working in the register 12 years, 10 to 12 years. It's wonderful to be in I like it a lot because I like math and I like all of the stuff to do with customers and money and everything. It's really fun to work on the registers. You find people interesting because it tells you a little bit about each customer, their stories.
I know I'm biased, but I think this store is great. I think if I was not related to these people, I'd still think their store was great. I love food, I love eating food, and I love finding new foods. I think Uncle Saul sums it up best.
This is a store that doesn't exist anywhere else in New York or maybe in the world, and it's a place to enjoy and to find things that you like.
Thank you for listening to the Zaybarz podcast. Join us again next time to learn more history, hear more stories, and meet some more of the people who make this store what it is. I'm Willie Zaybar, and I'll see you at the store. The Zaybarz podcast is produced by Emily Cherish with sound editing and mixing by Henry Butler. Shout out to everyone at Zaybarz for making it such a nice place to shop and to work.